Mix Coach, and welcome to Kendéll Lenice Live. I'm so excited about this show today. We have an amazing guest coming on. If you wanted to know and ever want to know about the heart of a Black man, tune in today. I'm talking to one of the contributing authors of The Heart of a Black Man. It's a compilation of 30 Black men telling you what's on their heart. Welcome to Kendéll Lenice Live. Much for joining me tonight. If you're new to this channel, welcome. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this. Even to my guest who is backstage, share this right now so everyone can see your interview. If you're watching live, welcome. If you're watching the playback, welcome. So my guest today is Mr. Anthony Washington. We go back. We are from the same hometown. We went to high school together and we ran track together. Anthony Washington, former men's and women's chair of the USATF, is an assistant coach at Newberry College in Newberry, South Carolina. He has an extensive experience working as a mentor coach inside NFL pro days with the training football camp. In addition, Anthony has coached on various levels, from middle school to college as an athletic instructor in football, track and field, provided a football camp for youth in nearby communities. All right, he is one of the authors of this amazingly interesting book, The Heart of a Black Man. His piece is called Making the Right Choice, and it's dedicated to his mom. We're going to talk about all of that and more. But first, Mr. Anthony Washington.
Hey, Kendall, how you doing? Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. Thank you for joining me on Kendéll Lenice Live. I'm excited about this project. Are you excited about this?
Very much so. Very much so. I'm happy.
So, the heart of a Black man. Everybody wants to know what's on the heart of a Black man. As a Black woman, I can't tell you what's on the heart of a Black man. I can tell you what's on the heart of this Black woman. So, tell me, when you heard the title and you were asked to be a part of this, or how were you approached about this piece? Because
Well,
this is your
originally
first
I was
introduction
doing a
to
show.
authorship.
I was doing a show with another young lady on Instagram, and they heard me on the podcast, and they said, I was interested, and they would like to interview me. So I got a chance to meet Talisha Berry, who is the creator of the book, and then we talked and talked and things like that. And she said that I would like to be a part of one of men to join this book, and that's how pretty much how this whole compilation came about.
So I find that interesting. So a Black woman put this book together. Is it because she wanted to know what was on the heart of man?
Well, she wanted to pretty much do something positive to show the light of black men, opposed to always hearing something negative. And for all of us to come together with different types of backgrounds, different stories, and we all somehow, some way made it through this point of our lives, and we had something to talk about, and that's how we did that.
Yeah, I love that. So as I was reading this, and thank you for sending me a copy of this, and I asked you at first, I said, how many men are part of this? Because I've been a part of compilation books where they've asked me to write my piece, but I don't think I've ever been part of a book that you had 30 people sharing their story. So what was
Yes.
that process like for you writing? Because now you're a published author as a contributing author to this book. What was the process writing for this book? And did you know what you were going to write about? Because I'm sure on your heart, there are many different things. Did you know exactly what you
Well,
were going to write about?
Well, actually, I wrote the book itself 5 years ago, but I never had it published. I had never got it typed. I just handwritten it out, you know. And so I talked to my mom about it, and I said, "Mom, I was asked to do this book. What do you think?" She said, "Well, why don't you use the story when you were in high school? Use that chapter to put in the book." So that's how I chose. I already had it written out, and so
Wow.
we knew what story to use. It was really like it was a strategic inflection point in my life. It was the biggest change of my life. Was that story?
Wow. So wait, so you were going to write a book already, and this was one of the chapters in the book. So when you were
Right.
approached by this compilation, you knew that you were going to contribute this part. Why was this important? Because I'm sure if you were writing a book, I'm sure that you had many different chapters to choose from. What made you pick this one, making the right choice?
Because this was the biggest thing that ever changed me. I mean, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. I wouldn't have the platform that I have right now
Hmm.
unless that situation took place in 1987.
Hmm.
That was the change of my life.
Hmm.
That's when everything came about to go in the right direction where I was going.
Hmm.
That book, that chapter.
So what were the and I'm going to read part of your chapter with everybody listening to the live or the playback. So what was the criteria when she said, "Hey, do you want to contribute to this book?" What was the criteria for some of the authors?
Well,
Like,
we
what
could we
did
had
she tell you?
it. We could only go three pages.
Mm-hmm.
Each author only could write
Understand.
3 pages. And I think I went a little over, but I said, look, I got to tell the whole story. So I know it may go a little over, but I told her, please just bear with me. Um, and I was able to get everything to the point. I think no more than 4 pages. I think it was, maybe five. I can't remember.
Oh, it's a little more than that, but it's still, but you know what? But when I read it, it wasn't long. It was an easy, quick read. So that's probably why she allowed it to stay in there. It wasn't something, it was very interesting. And when I first read it, because we went to high school together, I said, "I know you changed the names. Who are the people? I want to know the real people."
Yeah. And I
And
gave
this
you the
is
cheat.
why.
I gave you the cheat sheet because everybody that was involved that day lived in our neighborhood.
Yeah,
Pretty much either your next door neighbor or
yeah,
lived around the corner from you or lived like right down the street and caught the bus with us.
yeah,
Everybody was on the bus that day.
yeah. Because you and I went to two different high schools the
Yes.
same. We went to
Yes.
Pleasantville High School together, and
Right.
then, of course, our alma mater, Oakcrest High School. Shout out to South Jersey, Pleasantville,
Yeah.
and Mays Landing. Um, so with the criteria of the wonderful woman who put this together, did she say tell a story? Did she say something that impacted your life? Like, what were the rules outside of?
Something that impacted my life.
Got it.
That was the whole basis of the story. That was the whole criteria of what the book was supposed to be about. Something that impacted me. You know.
Got it. Got it. So as I look at this, and I'm going to read from this. So as I look at this, The Heart of a Black Man, right? You can get this book, by the way, at Courageous Woman mag.com. And you can get this book for $2.99 on Amazon and download it to your Kindle. And that's what you did for me. So I'm excited about this book launch. I love the picture you chose, by the way. So I want to read how this begins. Making the Right Choice by Anthony Washington. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you playing clear.
Okay. In 1987, dang, you old. I told you I did graduate with him. We did. I'm the same age, so I'm teasing. But in 1987, we moved to Mays Landing, New Jersey. I was attending Pleasantville High School till the end of the school year. The summer I got a job at Kenny's shoe store. When you said that, you took me back. That was where you got your Easter shoes, your school shoes at Kenny's shoes. to make more money over the summer. We lived in a development called the Woodlands. I lived in the Woodlands too, condominiums. This is where I met some of my old friends who moved into the development the same time we moved. At least 10 families that I knew all came at the same time. Since we all came from the same area, some of the guys thought we should become a crew. We didn't use the word gang. It just meant we were going to stick together. So I'm going to fast forward some. When school started, and I'm not going to read it all because I want y'all to get it. When school started back up, my mom had a hard time transferring me to Oakcrest because they didn't receive my transcript from Pleasantville High School. I finally had my first, and it's so funny. I went from Pleasantville to Oakcrest too. We did the same thing. That's how we ran track the same time. It's so funny. I finally had my first day of school in October. My crew had to fill me in about people they didn't like, the people from the other side of town. We agreed to stick together. That is so real back then. Like, they got to let you know the ropes like this. We don't mess with these people over here. This is our crew. And to have a crew that's meaningful for a young boy. Tell me how important that was to belong to a crew.
Well, back then it solidified, and it wasn't nobody gonna mess with you. You know, sticking together. It was more so, hey, I'm not gonna let nobody mess with you, and just make sure you watch my back at the same time. And kind of like more or less that situation.
Yeah. To be able to have that. All right, so I'm going to skip around because I want you to buy it. The first day of school, I got in trouble. I wore a chain to school, the same one my crew had on the days before. It was at the time that I met Mr. Foreman. Shout out to Mr. Foreman, my assistant principal for the first time. And I love that you talked about how you got in trouble with him, but he also saved you in the end.
He did. He did.
You want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, the biggest thing back then was he saw me in gym class one day, and he said, "Wow, you're very athletic." And I just was open. I answered his questions. He played around the ball with us a little bit. And then when the situation happened, he remembered me, and he heard about how good I was in sports through gym class. And he was one of the people that actually, other than Coach Bucci, he was the one that really vouched for me that day and talked to the Board of Education.
Okay, and I want them to know I'm going to leave some of that out, but because I want them to get this book. It's only $2.99, y'all. Y'all can download this for $2.99 to hear what's on the heart of a Black man. 30 men sharing the most impactful parts of their story. So you went on to say, Mr. Foreman had you on the list for in-school suspension. After not clicking, days later, the situation started with one of my close friends, and you call him Malik in the book. And then you talked about your mom seeing something in you and knowing that you were about to head in the wrong direction and that you were going to get in trouble. And a mother knows, you say in this passage, that she looks at you like, basically, what's up? What are you about to do? You want to talk about that a little bit? Can you unpack that?
Man, my mother knew me like a book. I couldn't hide anything from my mom back then. You know, she's a spiritual woman, and you know, God uses her in a lot of ways. And she's like, okay, I don't like what I'm seeing on you right now. And I'm like, Mom, I'm not doing anything. I'm out here just shadow boxing. She's like, no, you're up to something. And that was one of the things when she came back the next day, she's like, you know what? I knew something was wrong. I knew you were up to something, but now I know why. You know?
Yeah. Because one of your friends reached for a piece, I'll say, because you can't say certain words on here, reached for a piece and started to run. Somebody reached for a piece and started to run towards you. But before he got his hands up, he was right there to punch him. And then you watch the piece and what was in the piece fall to the ground.
Yeah.
So do you feel that God came and intervened at that point? Because that's deep.
It's deep because what I didn't tell anybody I could say that. Let me give you a cheat sheet. The gun was not what everybody thought it was. Let me just say that. And that kind of like gives somebody illusion to look through the book and see what was it, the situation that took place. But
Mm-hmm.
um, the thing is, he was trying to be intimidating at that particular time in our lives, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
and we were just so daring, not knowing what it could have happened. It could have been very dangerous,
Mm-hmm.
but it turned out to be a situation that turned out safely, is the word I would use.
Yeah. But nobody knew what was happening, but you knew that it wasn't a good look for you, to the point where they wanted to expel you from school. I mean, I went to school with you. I didn't know this. Was this like a secret? I didn't know that you were, because when I think about Anthony Washington in school, track star, athlete, doing your thing, focused. So I didn't even know that this was happening like right under my nose in school.
We didn't even
Um,
talk about it. We knew amongst each other. You were on the bus that day, but this Oakcrest is big. You can go over
mhm,
down that way, you can go over that way. You don't even know what's going on.
mhm.
But when we started separating, going our different ways, the first period class, probably you was probably already in the classroom when it took place because you supposed to be in the room before the
So it
bell rang.
happened right in the hallway or out? Did
Yes,
this happen
yes,
in the
before
hallway?
first period, before first period. So as soon as we got off the
Mm.
bus, that's when we got in, we found out where the hallway was, and that's when we did what we did before the bell rung. All this happened before the bell rung, that fast.
Mm. And I used to walk to school, so I might have been already in class or walking in the door. Like, that's deep, but you don't even realize. All right, so after everything happens the next day, it was in the newspaper. Now we
Yeah,
talking old school, it was in a newspaper, and you were out of school for a week.
at least.
And the coach called your mom and said the principal wanted you out.
Yeah, he wanted me out. You
But you
know,
had a but you had a saving grace. Who was that?
Mr. Foreman. I don't see if I put two and two together, I would say Mr. Foreman and Mr. Bucci were the ones that probably were the ones that steered the board to go the way they went for me on that.
Because you had to go up against the school board
Yes,
because
yes.
they
But see,
wanted
the
to
funny part
expel
about
you
it,
from school.
they already made a decision before I got to the board meeting. That decision was already made. When I got to the board meeting, they had already decided they were going to give me a chance. You know, so it was more of a formality. Okay, we're going to give you the shot, but let me give you the warning. This is where it's going to go. You
Yeah,
can't get any more trouble, period. Okay, until you graduate,
yeah,
Um, and we hear that you're this type of athlete, so we're going to see what kind of athlete you really are.
yeah,
It was almost like a challenge to me. It's like, okay, we heard you that good, but are you really that good?
yeah.
Yeah.
So honestly, sports saved your life, because had you got expelled from high school, you wouldn't even know the trajectory of your life. It would have been
No.
totally different. To
No.
be able to be a star athlete as you were in track and field, to be able to coach NFL football players, to be able to coach Olympians, to be able to coach high level athletes and create your own, um, wouldn't even have taken place, because you could have been in jail if you would have kept that same path and dropped out of high school. You want to talk about what that feels like when you look back at 50 plus years old and think about what happened, then how your life could have gone if God didn't intervene,
Um,
and your mama and
I
Mr.
knew me
Foreman.
back then and how much of a hothead I could be, And I was a follower back then. I wasn't a leader, so I was always whatever the wind blew. That's the direction I'm going to go if
Mm-hmm.
everybody else is going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until I started running track where I said, you know what? No, I'm this good, so I got to focus. I can't be there at everything that y'all doing.
Mm-hmm.
I got to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I got to prepare for my
Mm-hmm.
competition. And I knew that this was the one thing that it would drive me to go a whole different direction,
Yeah.
you know. And then also, I got to put godly intervention because he knew what path I had to go on in order to be where I got to go. He knew what things that I would have to go through
Yeah.
and the people that would need to step in and intervene for me.
Yeah.
in order for those things to take place.
Yeah. So were you able to maintain those friendships in high school? And do you have any of those friends now?
Well, really, one of them in the story, one of them I remain friends with now. We still good friends to this day. You know, he
Okay.
bought the book. He bought the book, and he laughed and said, "Man, we was wild back then." You know, and he read it to his wife, and he was telling me about how how crazy it was back then, and you know how we are where we are right now, and we're able to function in society. We have jobs, we have kids, and he has grandkids, and we're able to do something positive in life opposed to just being negative. That's the
Yeah.
beautiful part about it.
You going to tell me off air who the friend is that you still friends with?
I'll give you a secret. He was your neighbor
He was my neighbor?
in your development, so that winds it down. Walking distance to your house, and you're staying in about maybe 3 or 4 doors from your house.
Does his name start with a T?
It starts with an S.
Did he have a brother with the name that started with a T?
Mm-mm. He had a cousin that had started with the name M that we both know.
Yeah, you got to tell me. You got to tell me. Yeah, you got to tell me after this. So I
Okay.
want to talk about Alan Law. Can you talk up to the viewers on who Alan Law was and how he made a difference in your life?
Well, he was the one that actually coached me through my career all the way up to college. You know, he was the one responsible for my success. You know, he found me on the street jogging in the Woodlands one day. Said he needed a training partner. I said I needed a coach. You're talking about a 36-year-old friendship. We never broke ties. We're still friends to this day.
Mm,
Um, he's going on to win Championship of America. He wasn't in college. He wasn't even a high school coach then. He was just local, you know.
wow.
And people watched him, and then he decided to go into high school coaching, and then took over that program in Pleasantville. But back then, we were living in the Woodlands, training,
Hmm.
you know, back then.
Yeah.
And he never cut any slack with me. He didn't break it all and say he never gave me any leeway to say, hey man, you just acted any old kind of way. He said, no, this is how good you are, and this is the way you're going to act around me. Okay.
Yeah.
And he had a standard. His brothers had a standard
Yeah.
that that pretty much shifted my entire life to be a professional athlete, a
Yeah.
professional coach, not by price and money, but just by character and how you stand around people. He
Yeah.
demanded a character. That's pretty much where it came down to. He demanded a certain character.
Yeah. As I was reading your passage and you talked about the Bridgeton relays, see, South Jersey knows what the Bridgeton relays are. Everybody heard of Penn relays. We did that too. But when you said the Bridgeton relays, I was like, Dad, I haven't thought about that in a long time. And people don't know, Anthony, your girl was fast. Your
Yeah,
girl
I
was
know.
fast.
We
People
were
don't
both
know
at
I
the
got ribbons.
we were both at the county championships. If you
Yes.
we were
People
both
don't
there.
People don't know. I got ribbons and trophies. I don't even know where some of them are. But your girl was fast. I used to love racing the boys because, and this is all in humility, but I remember I used to beat all the girls.
Are
It
you
was
ready to
me.
laugh?
And then I would just want to race the boys, but I forgot the girl's name who was a top girl too. It was me and her, and I can't think of her name right now on high school in Oakcrest. I can't think. But what you gonna say?
You beat me in the hallway our 10th grade year.
I did.
I
I
said, this
don't,
is the last time this will ever happen again.
let me tell you, I wanted to race everybody. Like running was in my blood since I was little. I loved it. That is so funny. I don't even remember that. I don't even remember that. And you know what? The heart of a man, it shows that you're a man that you can say that I beat you.
But that next year was a whole nother Anthony Washington.
Wow. All right. So you were talking about, and I just want, because as we get ready to conclude, you talk about um group two championships between Buna High School and Oakcrest. We were two undefeated schools going after all the marbles. You're 400 because you did cross country a lot too. I didn't. But I
Yeah.
remember you when we would have practice. I remember you keep running. I did, the sprinting. I did the 400 relays. I did the 200. I did the 100, and I did the long jump, and I did the hurdles. But I remember you doing long distance. You did long distance, right?
Hurdles.
You did hurdles, but I know you did hurdles, but you didn't do long distance.
I did on like this just for extra work, but I didn't, I didn't race it. I raced the 400 hurdles
Yeah.
and the 4x4.
Yeah,
Those
I
were the
did
two
that.
ones that I did.
Man, I did that hurdle that people don't understand how difficult hurdles is, because it's about timing. It's about strengthening your mind. It's about precision. People don't understand, because I remember one championship, I was way ahead, and I got to the last hurdle on one of my races. I hit the last hurdle because I got a Charlie horse and was down on the ground.
Wow.
And my mom, my brother Kareem, everybody came out,
Yeah.
because first Kareem, he's younger than me, so he's laughing like, Kendéll fell. And I remember I hit that last, I was gone, and because you gotta, and I hit the last hurdle right before the finish line and fell to the ground. That Charlie horse was something terrible.
Yes.
That's one of my most memorable defeats. But I just wanted to, as we end, you say life is about making a host of choices. One bad choice can lead to a lifetime full of other bad choices. But when we are determined to make a good choice and preserve, we can fill that life with goodness and success, with the ability to pay the goodness forward. Anthony, how are you paying the goodness forward?
Well, I share it like this. With your platform and with the platform God has given me, when you come to a certain point of success, there's a level of success that now you got to go back and give
Mm-hmm.
back.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're giving it back from coaching, or you're giving it back with working other athletes, or
Mm-hmm.
you're producing other coaches to
Mm-hmm.
become good. And that's what it's all about. It's about giving back, not just keeping and holding on what you have
Yeah.
and what success you have. You tell somebody else how to become successful.
Yeah.
You know, and that's my my logo when I say Coach Washington or Coach Dub, putting yourself in position of demand, is that you put yourself in position where people want what you have, not begging what you got.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. The Heart of a Black Man, co-author Anthony Washington. You can get this book at Courageous Woman mag.com. Hearing Anthony's story, I hope it makes you want to hear the other 29 men and what's on the heart of Black men. Before we play our game and we're going to play a game, but tell the people how they can get in contact with you, and through social media or any other, and if they want to hire you and all of that good stuff. How can they connect with you after
Well,
this?
I have an open number, so my number is wide open, and they can call me at 803-463-9530. And you can also get me at Coach Dub, Coach underscore DUUB on Instagram. And that's really where people can get, and I can direct them to my manager for any type of public speaking opportunities.
Should we tell them about something that we want to work on, or should we just say?
Oh, why not? Go ahead and say it. I think it's about that time.
So we will be working on a documentary about Anthony's life, right, in this
Yes.
whole track and field um business, I would say. So we're going to
Yes.
go back to Jersey. We're going to get some footage, and we're going to do.
Yes.
And I'm just honored to be a part of it. I know I seem like I was crazy busy. I don't want you to think that I still don't want to do it. I know Jimmy probably like, she don't want to do it, but I do want to do it. And when it's time to show up, I'm going to show up.
And I wanted this book to be the platform of the documentary, because what I didn't get a chance to tell you, the book went last week. It went at number one on Amazon. It's a number one bestseller now. And I wanted to use that platform to produce what we're doing now with this project, so it can kind of carry some weight where we want to go. And you ought to talk to people, tell them that you're going to be the orator of the documentary. So you know I had to choose you, for this.
I'm so excited and I'm honored that you even chose me because, you got your manager and all of that stuff. You tell her to call me. Remember, you tell her to call me. But
Yeah, we got you covered.
but I'm so proud of you, Anthony. You are doing big things. I saw you on the talk shows, on TV, on local news, and I saw you sitting there. And when I saw you posted, it made me so proud. How proud of you are you of yourself right now, and what would your mom be saying right now?
My mom is my biggest fan, man. She's like, I told you, if you got yourself together, what would take place. So my mom was telling me, now you got to look. I got something to tell you off air about the book that's not on the book, that kind of takes place today. That she spoke back in '87, and she said back then in '87. That's what I was trying to tell you, that you would be able to be one day. This is the part that I was trying to tell you back in 1987, that you have the opportunity to do this if you get yourself together.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, I thank God. I mean, it's an opportunity that presents itself. I'm very humble about it because just like with Nike, it fell in my lap, you know.
Yeah.
And now this opportunity falls in my lap. It's like, wait, do the right thing with it.
Yeah.
And do the right thing with people that's working with you about this project,
Yeah. And what do you think? So what is Miss Patricia saying about this dedication?
Oh, she was heartfelt. Like I didn't tell her. I didn't tell her I was going to do it until she read the book. When she opened up the book and the book was dedicated in her name, she was shocked. That was a big secret.
I love that. All right, Leroy. I mean, Leroy. I just got finished doing a show with Leroy. I'm like, I literally right before I did this. All right, Anthony, you ready to play?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to play 5 minutes of fun. Getting to know Anthony.
Hello?
Just going to answer the question. No explanation. No conversation. Just going to answer it like this. All right?
Okay.
This or that, breakfast or dinner?
Dinner.
Night owl or early bird?
Night out.
Vacations, relaxation, or adventurous?
Adventurous.
Your top 3 movies, every time they're on, you're going to watch it. Watch them.
Tombstone, Heat, and House Guest. House Guest.
You hidden talent. What's your hidden talent?
Golf.
What makes you laugh out loud?
Something funny.
The song that makes you dance every single time you hear it.
Marvin Gaye, Inner City Blues.
What would people be surprised to know about you?
That I'm extremely funny.
Using the first letter of your first name, use one word to describe you.
Authentic.
Nice. Last question. What brings you joy, Anthony?
Family.
I love that. Everybody, I'm so excited about this. Please get this book. Let me get the website again. www.courageouswomanmag.com. You can also go to amazon.com. If you have a Kindle, you can download it right on there. Even if you have a phone, you could just get the Kindle app for free, download it to your phone. Anthony, thank you so much for joining me on Kendéll Lenice Live. I hope you continue to go #1, and I hope this inspires you to write your own book.
Yes, thank you, Kendéll. I really appreciate it.
Yes. And y'all stay tuned for this documentary. We haven't started yet, but that's what we plan to do. And I'm honored to be a part of telling your story. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching Kendéll Lenice Live. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and click the notification button. A lot of people ask if you want to give a love donation. My Cash App is $Kendéll Lenice. If you want to support me by sending this out to other people so they can watch this interview and be inspired. And if they want to know what's on the heart of a Black man and the differences between choices, challenges, and living out your true destiny, make sure you guys watch this episode of Kendéll Lenice Live and share this out. Remember, you're a star. Don't allow anyone to dim your shine. Until next time, God bless. Peace, y'all. Thank you so much, Anthony.